Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. Today's program, we're talking about the Suffolk Department of Public Works. We'll give you an overview of what the department does, as well as focus on two particular divisions, that's roadway maintenance and mosquito control. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene. Joined now by a familiar face here with our program. It's Charles Abadam, who is the Mosquito Control Superintendent for the City of Suffolk. And Charles, thanks for being with us.
No problem.
Well, we met and talked at your place a couple months ago.
Yep.
It was at the very beginning of mosquito season. So you
Yeah.
just kind of ramping things up. We gave a nice overview of what your department and what your area offers. But now we're into July.
Sure.
So again, we've had a lot of rain lately. So if you could
That
just
we
kind of
have.
tell us where we are with the mosquito season as far as what you and your staff are seeing here in the city of Suffolk.
Okay, well, we have had a lot of rain, and that fills up a lot of areas that weren't in the beginning. Because in the spring,
Right.
you're trying to get that early rains to get everything going. Now the green is already set.
Yes.
You got grass, you got flowers, you got trees already in bloom. Everything's already bloomed or is blooming. So the water table is pretty much at its level.
Right.
So all this extra rain that we've had, fields, agricultural areas, are producing a lot of pools of mosquitoes that are really attacking a lot of people right now.
Correct.
And I've gotten a lot of calls about these particular mosquitoes. They are larger.
Right. Okay.
They're floodwater mosquitoes.
Right.
So they're more prominent and people see them more often. They will bite when anything is available.
Right.
So they're opportunistic. And this is a great time to introduce the mosquito dunk program, which we've always used, but a lot of people are calling in.
Yes.
I'm referring them to go to their local fire station and all the areas that are available to citizens to pick up dunks.
Right.
And all of those areas that are holding water, you can see now.
Yes.
Throw dunks in those.
Right.
And this is a prime time to use the mosquito dunk program.
And again, the way that program works is you get a free pack of two once a month, every month. You just have to come in. I believe you show your ID just to show that you are
A Suffolk citizen.
Suffolk citizen. You sign a form. You're out the door. No charge. Come back in a month. We'll do the same process.
Absolutely.
And again, as you noted, you can visit one of your local fire stations.
Yep.
You can come to City Hall. We have them in our office here,
Yep.
Media and Community Relations. Your office certainly has them.
Absolutely.
And there are other locations throughout the city
Yeah,
as
I think
well.
a couple libraries have them.
Correct.
So these mosquitoes are, they're coming out now because of all of the water.
Yes.
Although you see a lot of mosquitoes and you're getting bit by a lot, our numbers are low.
Okay.
We're about 25% from last year, a decrease of 25% from last year.
Right.
And that's good, but the mosquitoes that you're seeing are those that are going to be opportunistic and attack. So we're doing everything that we can. We got surveillance out there. We're using that surveillance so that we can do all the adulticide spraying that is available.
Right.
Again, all of Suffolk is suffering.
Yes. Yes.
I wouldn't say suffering,
Right.
but it's Suffolk. You have you're swampy, you're agricultural, you're rural. So all of the idealistic environments for mosquito are here.
Right.
And this time of the year, right now, a lot of people are definitely feeling the effects of that.
And again, when we talk about the mosquito population, we're talking about stagnant or still water. We're not talking
Correct.
about moving water.
Right.
Correct? So
Yeah, most of the moving water mosquitoes are not attracted to.
Okay.
Because they need that stillness in order for them to go through all their life cycles. They egg, larvae, pupae, adult. They need that stagnation and they need nutrient-heavy water
Right.
in order for them to feed off of so that they can grow.
Okay.
Running water, creeks, there's really not going to be a lot of mosquito breeding in those areas.
Yes.
But the good thing about the rains is that they're flushing
Right.
those ditches out.
Right.
But eventually that water flushes to a point where it becomes stagnant.
Correct. Yes.
And then the mosquitoes, that's where they're going to go to.
Right.
So a lot of our ditches are flooding out, a lot of our catch basins are flooding out, but then it's only to a point.
Right.
These intermittent rains are great because they're flushing,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
then you got this hot and humid weather that
Yeah.
comes up, and
Yeah.
mosquitoes love that as well. So
Yes.
it's almost like the mosquitoes just have it They're having a field day.
They're having their
now.
party, if you
Yeah,
will, and we're the ones
exactly.
that, we're the guests, I guess, so to speak. Not happy guests, but we're guests nonetheless.
Sure.
But how long does it typically take? You know, people think, oh, we had a lot of rain yesterday, we're going to see the mosquitoes today. We're not talking about that quick of a cycle, but what is the typical cycle? Stagnant water, or you have water following a heavy rain or something like that that is sitting there. What are we looking at cycle-wise?
On average, from egg to adult,
Yes.
a mosquito takes 7 days to produce.
Okay.
So it can be quicker, honestly, especially when it's more humid, when it's more hot. It's more ideal for them to go through all those stages very quickly.
Yes.
Some of the floodwater mosquitoes will go quickly because they know that flood water is going to evaporate. So they're going to just maybe even 4 days.
Right. Okay.
Now, those that are in artificial containers, your tiger mosquitoes, the smaller black mosquitoes that everybody feels in their yard.
Right.
As long as you're dumping your water in anything that's holding water every 3 days, you should be fine.
Okay.
But the problem is people forget to do that. People forget that there's a container in their yard somewhere that may be hidden by a bush.
Right.
And there's leaves and there's all this debris that get in there and create all these nutrients for those mosquitoes to sense, lay eggs, hatch out, and do their number. And you're going to feel the effects of that, definitely.
Indeed. And you talked about the mosquito dunks, you talked about the spraying that you and your staff are doing, but as far as tapping into the spraying, we can go online to your website.
Absolutely.
You can see kind of what's been done. Can you see what's been scheduled to be coming up as
yes,
well?
So a lot of people have been using it lately. A lot of citizens have called up and said, yeah, we saw a red block in our area. I didn't know what that really meant.
Yes.
I encourage everybody to look at it and click all they need to.
Right.
Because you just need to explore to see what you can do with the website.
Yes.
You can see what sprays are going to be sprayed, and that automatically pops up when you get to the web page.
Okay.
And then also you can check what has been sprayed for the past week.
Okay.
So that's nice to know, to say, hey, oh, they sprayed, maybe let's put another request in for next week because they did spray for this week. Now, granted, that spray is gonna take care of the immediate population, so it's not gonna take care of everything.
Right.
So you maybe need to do it on a regular basis, and we're taking all those service requests, scheduling sprays, scheduling home inspections, and that's really a good way for everybody to see what's going on. Not to say it's an end-all, but it's gonna help you as well as the dunks, and we're also doing larviciding the ditches as well.
Correct. Now, when you mentioned about requests, you can go online to do that at the website, and you also can call the office as well.
Absolutely.
Right. So again, there's
and you
ways
can write us an email.
You can. Okay, perfect. So and again, all that's on the site because I believe the email address is there. So if you you're seeing more mosquitoes in your area,
Absolutely.
and need some information or need to say, look, can you come out and give us some help on this? That's the way to tap into that to get that done, so you can kind of get that on your schedule, evaluate the situation. Like you said, you may already have spraying scheduled for the area,
Exactly.
so the problem may be taken care of with that. But again, like you said, the spraying doesn't, you're talking it's where you spray, and it's also taking care of the situation at that point in time.
Immediately.
Yeah, right.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's just immediately that night, that day, to get rid of the immediate population. We come through and larvicide afterwards, hoping that we can get enough of the population in the water so that the next population doesn't pop up.
Correct.
Granted, Suffolk is a very large place
Yes,
to take control of. So we're doing our best.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, you're checking the population with your folks who are out there, still putting out traps and things,
Absolutely.
right? And then looking forward to see if there's any, Triple E or
Triple
anything.
E or West Nile. Right. And that's an ongoing process. When primary vectors for those diseases come out there will be notices and whatnot.
Yes.
We'll probably put a notice out really soon because there have been some detection of disease in mosquitoes that aren't the primary vectors. They're the bridge, and not the bridge vectors, just the secondary vectors, the ones that really just stay within either the bird population or horses. Now, horses, we encourage everybody to vaccinate, and that's very important. There was a horse death in Chesapeake. So that's just something that horse owners should do.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So we encourage that.
Okay. Now, any words of advice other than, you know, certainly monitoring your own situation, using the dunks where you can, because I know that is a great way to get other, you know, your staff is what your staff is. You have a certain amount of vehicles, have more equipment,
resources,
staff, but again, that gives you extra spread for that, so that you're out there knocking out the larvae before it really kind of gets going. Correct?
Yeah. Now there are some other things that I've been encouraging people to do and try for themselves. Sometimes, you know, one thing will work for someone that won't work for another. So I encourage you to use what has worked for you, but maybe add in some things. Using a really commercial fan, industrial fan, blowing the mosquitoes away from you. Right. That's a really good thing. If you use some type of scent like citronella, you can put it behind it, broadcast the scent out. Okay. You can long, loose, and light colored clothing. Right. But that's always hard in the summertime. Yes. I know everybody wants to be out and feel cool instead of hot, and long sleeves and pants. And so that's really difficult. But just if you can, that would be great. Using DEET as well. Correctly read the label. Make sure that you're applying it correctly to yourself, to your children. And yeah, just those basic things. Check your yard every week. Right.
For those collections of water and then empty it out.
Dump it, clean it.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Well, Charles, thank you for the update. We appreciate it, and thanks again to you and your staff for what you're doing out there to keep us as mosquito safe as we can possible. Like you said, Suffolk, a rather large landmass, the largest independent city in the state of Virginia, or largest city landmass-wise in the state of Virginia. So a lot of territory to cover, but with your help and working with the citizens with great information, hopefully we can control that mosquito population.
Hope so too.
All right. Well, Charles, thanks again.
You're welcome.
And we'll have more On the Scene when we return. Welcome back to On the Scene. Joined now by the Assistant Director of Public Works, L.J. Hansen. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks.
Now, here today to talk about Public Works. And I guess we'll kind of kick it off by saying, what does the Department of Public Works do here in the city of Suffolk? There's certainly a lot of areas of responsibility, but kind of outline what the department covers.
Well, Public Works is responsible for probably the thing that most people are familiar with is roadway maintenance. That's one of the things that it takes up a big part of what it is that we do. Right. But we're also responsible for refuse collection, garbage collection. We're responsible for transit. We're responsible for working with regional organizations on transportation-related matters. You know, some of the things that we're not responsible for, I think sometimes is also helpful to know. We're not responsible for public utilities matters, which would be water and sewer. And we're also not responsible for a lot of grass cutting things that are related to public spaces. Trees and that type of thing. So I think sometimes there's some confusion about exactly what we do and what we don't do.
Right. I know every city, municipality, government kind of does things a little differently. So some things fall in here, don't fall in there. And it's not that we don't have staff that take care of some of those things you noted. Right. But it's just a matter of which department to know where to go to. And sometimes it can be a bit confusing because exactly where does this fit in the overall scheme of things?
Right. And in times past, actually, we have had some of those other responsibilities. Correct. And so as times move forward and budgets change and those things move from department to department. Yeah.
But certainly Public Works works with other departments in conjunction with, if there's a road project that involves utilities, public utilities that take care of their portion, y'all are taking care of yours, and it all kind of fits together to make the project work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when we talk about roadway maintenance and road projects, you know, certainly one of the bigger things that the department is known for and responsible for, but what are some of the ones that are out there now, some of the ones being projects that are out there now that people may be interested in or maybe are really affecting and going to bring about some positive change out there on the roadways that you could highlight?
Sure. Well, as we talk about roadway projects, there's kind of a split between what we would term to be capital projects or improvements. Right. And those might be improvements that you might notice at, say, Route 17 and Bennett's Pasture, or Route 17 and Lee Farm Lane. Some recent projects were at Nansman Parkway, Shoulders Hill Road, and Nansman Parkway, what we're calling Phase 2, which will go from those improvements that ended there and then are going to go to the Chesapeake City line. Right. And then we also have large-scale maintenance projects that are underway. So maintenance is a big part of what it is that we do. And as a matter of fact, we repave about 35 miles every year.
Wow.
That sounds like a lot, and it is.
Yes.
But the city of Suffolk's responsible for 1,650 lane miles. And I usually tell people that when it's snowing, you know,
Yes.
it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, but consider driving from here to Chicago and back, and then imagine you have 20 snow plows to
Right.
clear that.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right. And again, it helps to put things in perspective, because I think we all tend to forget sometimes how large the city of Suffolk is, and how it's so spread out that it does present challenges that are, you know, certainly, but the staff works hard at making sure those challenges are overcome.
Right.
Whether it is plowing roads or potholes or whatever the case would be. And unfortunately, potholes seem to come with the snow plowing efforts. When we have that, they definitely tend to pop up. But when it comes to the public, if they see something, you know, a ditch that needs cleaning, or you know, a drainage issue, or again, a pothole in a road, there are a couple different ways that people can let Public Works know that issue's out there. Can you talk about some of those?
Right. Well, first and foremost, we prefer it if you go through the website. On our website, there is a Report a Pothole logo. It's right on the front screen of the website, and that's probably the easiest way, and probably the most convenient too, because you know, most of the time, I'll be honest, when I see something, I see it usually on my way to or from work, and so that's probably the easiest way to report it. But you can also call in to our hotline, which is 514-7600, the 7600 number, and you'll receive a friendly person who will take your call, and they'll tell you a little bit about how the process works, if that's what you want to do.
Sure.
If they're unavailable, you can also leave a message there. But certainly, we would recommend the website. It's just a little easier, to be honest.
And I know with so many road miles in the city and territory to cover, it's hard for you to know every little pothole, every little situation that crops up. So it's helpful to have other sets of eyes out there notifying the department of issues that crop up, right?
Yeah, we welcome it. You know, we have 4 divisions, 4 districts, and we have a lot of capable people, and I think we have a very good staff.
Right.
I might be biased, but I think we have a very good staff. They work very hard. But even having said that, our staff will sometimes miss something.
Right.
You can get blind when you look at roads all day. You don't always see every imperfection, because while you're looking at one thing, you may be missing something else. So we certainly welcome people's input. It's also worth noting that a small imperfection in a road is not necessarily going to garner our attention, but if it's an annoyance to somebody, then that's something that we want to know about.
Sure.
But by and large, we're looking for the ones that are going to catch our attention are going to be bigger potholes, bigger in diameter and bigger in depth. That doesn't mean that a smaller one's not important. It's just that those are the ones that tend to garner our attention as we're making our notes.
Okay, and again, it helps to get that information back, and then y'all can prioritize and work it into the workflow, because obviously you have regular maintenance and things that you're doing regardless of what's reported, but it's adding these things into the mix and making sure they're done in a timely fashion, right?
Right, absolutely. And the same could be said for other issues other than potholes. Right. You know, ditch maintenance. We do receive a number of calls regarding ditch maintenance, and that's a big part of what it is that we do. We have several hundred miles of ditches that we maintain.
Sure.
And again, we're looking at those areas where we're holding water, not necessarily where the ditch is not perfectly flat or there might be little puddles. We're looking at it from a transportation standpoint. Where is water backing up onto the road? I think a lot of times the homeowner or the resident might be looking at that ditch and saying, well, my property doesn't drain exactly the way that I would like it to.
Right.
But from our standpoint, we're really looking at it from a roadway maintenance standpoint, because ultimately, as we talked about, city government has designated funding, and our funding for our maintenance efforts comes through gas taxes, and gas taxes are used to maintain roadways.
Correct.
I think that's another common misconception.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for clearing that up. We appreciate it.
Right.
Now, with the road projects, or really any project that's going on, you know, you'll see the crew out there, and they have their bright vests. So again, they're very visible, and certainly safety is important to them as much as it is to the drivers that are going in and around them. Any advice or tips you could offer to people, the traveling public, if they come across a project that's going on, whether you have a crash truck or it's something maybe that's just off the road and it's a different setup, to help the public stay safe as well as help continue to have the safety of the workers there?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, slowing down.
Right.
It's not that much of an inconvenience to slow down.
Right.
you know, and I'm a commuter too, so I understand the desire to get from one place to another. But I think oftentimes we can see something like that and we don't necessarily put it into perspective. That's a person. That's a father or a mother or a son or somebody like that. So please slow down. And second of all, you know, concentrate on your task, not necessarily the task that they're doing. Make sure you keep your eyes forward and focused on what it is that you're doing.
I think speed is certainly one thing to consider. I mean, yes, the roadway may dictate you can go X speed, but if you see something like that, you know, you typically have, you know, lights or signs or something to notify you that you're coming into a work zone. So slowing down helps you as well as the fellow motorists, as well as, again, the workers that are out there doing the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good deal. Well, again, you know, when we talk about public works, there's so much to cover. And like you said, roadway is certainly one of the main things just because of the amount of territory you have to cover, the staff involved in that. Would you say that that probably is the lion's share of the work that, you know, how public works is split up? I know obviously there's so many different areas, or how is that kind of broken up as far as staffing wise? General, you know, not exact percentage, but just an overview.
Right. Well, one of the areas that I didn't touch on, or actually I guess I could say two of the areas I didn't touch on, would be our engineering division, and that does govern large-scale new projects. They look at plans that are coming in. So as a developer submits plans, we evaluate them to make sure that they fit with the city's Unified Development Ordinance and other laws and statutes, state laws and statutes. And our stormwater division, which is also another part of what it is that we do, and certainly it's a utility that's included on our tax assessments. And they play an important role in what it is that we do too. We do work as a group, but we have a lot of subgroups that have specific missions, and sometimes those specific missions are a little harder to identify, I think, sometimes for the average citizen, sure.
Now, I know the site that a lot of people know it's there, but you don't really see it, the site on Carolina Road. Talk a little bit about what is there now and maybe what's to come.
Yeah, we're excited. That is our operations facility, and in years past, we've been operating out of a group of commercial trailers that we've worked out of, and they've served our needs, but it hasn't always been the most comfortable, and they have presented us with some problems. We're very grateful to be operating, or to be working on a brand new operations facility that we hope to have opened around the beginning of the new year, probably just after the beginning of the new year. And that's still going to house our roadway maintenance, traffic operations folks, and that is for the downtown district. We still have the other districts that are outside. Outside of
but that'll be one of your main facilities, though, right?
Absolutely.
There. Now, any other improvements associated with that? Would there be more staff going to there, you know, or is it just a matter of replacing what you have there and giving you more of a permanent fixture rather than sort of the, you know, you noted they're kind of temporary type buildings that have been in use?
Yeah, we're not increasing our staff at all, but what we are doing is we're creating a more cohesive unit. As I mentioned, we were operating from trailers before, which were kind of scattered around a little bit, and it you know, that can kind of build I don't want to say a bunker mentality, but I'm not sure that I have a better word for it, but where people don't collaborate as well. And so certainly having this one facility should allow us to collaborate a little bit better. It gives us some better training facilities. It allows us to improve some of the technologies that we have. From a traffic operations standpoint, we're very excited because, of course, you know, we have so many signals around the city. And that will allow us to be able to monitor a little bit better and to continue to upgrade what it is that we do, which will enhance everybody's daily commute.
Exactly. Good deal. And of course, that'll mean better services and maybe a smoother workflow within the department as far as for what the citizens can reap a benefit from that as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Jay, thank you for spending time with us today to talk about public works and all the things that you and the men and women of the department do for the city of Suffolk. And again, a great resource. We noted as well the ways to contact. If you find a roadway issue out there that you'd like to report, we'll put that information back up on the screen as an easy reference. So again, thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate that. And that will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.